What's going on, y'all, and welcome on in. Tower Fantasy's been out for a little over a week now, and I've been absolutely loving it. Maybe loving it a little bit too much, as you guys can see here for my weapons and my matrices. But I want to do a video guide on my favorite character, Nemesis, tell you all about her. Is she worth it as a free-to-play? What might be coming out after her? What teams does she work best in? How many dupes do you need? Is C6 worth it? All that good stuff. Let's cover everything Nemesis related that I've learned playing her in the past week. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, y'all, let's start with a few basics here. So, Nemesis, why would you want to summon for her, pull for her? She is a support Volt unit, and support is a little misleading because she does good damage once you start investing in her. But the main thing is, guys, let's start with this. Is your primary DPS either Samir, right here, the Dualian pistols, or Crow, the daggers? If so, Nemesis is very good at the moment because right now she is the only unit at the moment that provides the elemental resonance or the elemental synergy. If you played Genshin, anything like that, we call it elemental resonance though in TOF, and that increases volt attack by 15% and volt resistance by 25% as long as you equip 2 or more volt weapons. Currently there is no effect for flame, fire weapons, or ice weapons at the moment, physical weapons as well, but those will come later in future banners, which we're going to cover later in case you might want to skip Nemesis. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, are you using Samir or Crow? Because they both they're the primary DPS that use volt weapons. If so, you're really gonna want to try and aim for Nemesis, guys. If those are your primary DPS, you really want to try to get this girl. Otherwise, you still might want to pull for her as a standalone because she is so good, guys. I mentioned she can do damage, she heals, she provides volt synergy, and on top of that, with the matrices, even without volt synergy, she can just boost damage as well, while she has that healing effect if you just swap. So she's just an all-rounder unit that kind of does everything, and don't even get me started on PvP, as she is an absolute monster right now. The counter units haven't been implemented into global server yet, so she is running rampant. Her and Meryl are absolutely powerhouses, but I don't really want to talk too much about PvP in this guide. Just understand that she is super powerful there as well. Okay, y'all, so we covered what makes Nemesis so good, as well as what kind of units she synergizes with. Let's move on to how many copies you may want to get, or what kind of benefits she gets for getting additional dupes and things like that. First, let's cover the stars. So every star I'm going to refer to as, if you just have one Nemesis standalone, we would call that C0, right? 0 dupes, 0 advancements. When we get to 6 stars, we call that C6. If we have 1 star, meaning 2 Nemesis, we would call that C1, okay? That just to get the terminology on point. So at C1, guys, that is going to give you the best bang for your buck. If you can see here, activate it after using Pulse Lock or Particle Beam Burst, which is just your #1 skill or your fully charged weapon swap. You create an electrode that immediately grants the user 5 stacks of Healing Chain Enhance, which otherwise you would have to dodge 5 times to get that full stack. And on top of that, you unleash a Healing Chain that heals nearby allies by 135% of the Wanderer's attack. This is huge, guys. This provides the electrode, which does damaging pulse. On top of that, granting you the maximum amount of healing stacks and an additional healing chain that'll also work in team play. So if you plan to play in party groups with friends, if you also want to just have more healing for yourself, if you want to use Nemesis as a main healer, I highly suggest you try to get 1 extra copy of her. Now for free to plays, I understand that could be very hard, okay? Now she's gonna go to the summon banner later, the normal summon pool later, once she leaves. I don't know how long in advance. I've heard anywhere from 2 to 6 months for her to join the normal summon pool, but just keep that in mind, that if you want to use her beyond just the Volt synergy, in which case you could just keep at C0. If you want to use her for the extra healing, party play, use her as your primary healer, you really want to get C1, as that provides a huge quality of life as well as healing bonus. The best bang for your buck is going to be C1 by far. Now let's look at C2 through C5 real quick. The 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th advancements. That would mean 2 dupes, 3 dupes, 4 dupes, 5 dupes, etc. Essentially, these are all good. They increase damage and give some extra effects, things like that. But overall, none of these are that important. And definitely, if you're free to play or a low spender, are not worth trying to fish for, try to get lucky for. The main thing is, and it's gated all the way behind C6, this is where she's really going to shine as a powerhouse unit. But of course, guys, getting 6 extra copies of Nemesis is pretty much just whale territory, or you're gonna just want to wait a long time for her to join the normal pool and then just save up all your, you know, black and gold currency to pity her essentially. But C6 would be your next step after C1. If you can't get to C6, if you're not a whale, if you're more free to play, just stay at C0 for Volt synergy or go for C1 for the extra healing. I don't think the C2 through C5 are worth it by any means. All right, C1, let's start at C0 for Volt synergy, C1 for primary healer or healing team play, and then after that, do not go for anything unless you go all the way to C6. That's my personal opinion from someone that's been playing Nemesis for a while now. Okay, next up, let's talk about the Matrices selection. Honestly, there's really only one endgame goal that you're going to want to shoot for, and it's super simple. You really just want to aim for her own set, her own SSR Matrices set, as it provides just seamless extra damage as well as boosting volt damage. So it's not just for her, but also any other volt users you're using, such as Samir or Crow, like I mentioned at the start of the video. This kind of just gives her a lot of extra effects, and it's just her best in slot Matrices. Now, I understand that you can't, a lot of you guys watching, if you're free to play, you may not be able to get all 4 copies, even 2 copies. So in the beginning, until you eventually shoot for these, go ahead and just equip one piece of whatever highest quality matrices you have, because that'll give you the biggest stat bonus. If it's a purple, that's fine, as you can just commit. As long as it's not over level 30, you don't lose any XP at all. You can always convert those into your SSR Nemesis matrices later if you are lucky enough to get some. So just equip your highest quality whatever you have, and then your other 3 pieces, my recommendation as a budget until you get better ones, is to just slap on the increased damage dealt by volt weapons by 6% 3-piece. So one of your highest quality, level it as up to 30, and then your other 3, just use this blue set that increases damage of volt weapons. So that about covers the basic guide on Nemesis. She is by far, guys, my favorite character, Wanderer in Tower Fantasy. She's so good. She does it all. Healing, damage support, good damage herself, while also just looking absolutely amazing. But I don't want to sell you guys too hard on her, as next up, let's go ahead and start talking about the Red Nucleus banner, what might be coming up next, why you might want to skip Nemesis, or if you weren't lucky enough to get her, why you'll be still just fine. Last but not least, let's go ahead and talk about the Red Nucleus summons under the special order. We'll talk about real quickly how this works, as well as who's most likely going to be coming out next after Nemesis. But real briefly, if you weren't aware how these summons work, these limited banners, you have 80 summons to get the half pity, guys. That's not a full pity. What that means is at the 80 mark, once you spend 80 Red Nucleus, you have a 50-50 chance to get Nemesis or whoever's on the limited banner, or a random SSR unit from this list. In my experience, I've done 4 pities at 80, and I've gotten exactly half. 2 of them were Nemesis and 2 of them were random units. So be aware, boys, if you do end up going to the 80 mark, there is a chance you do not get your Nemesis. The saving grace, the silver lining, is you will have 80 of these flame golds, and you'll be able to do 40 more on top of that to be able to guarantee buy her in the limited store here for 120 what do you call them, flame gold currency. Now keep in mind that if you don't hit the 120 mark, these flame golds actually get converted, as you can see here in the red text, into the black gold currency, which is just the normal gold banner. So if you were saving, if you wanted to save for the unit after Nemesis, just be careful, because these flame golds will go away. So decide really firmly before you hit the 80 mark if you're going to go for Nemesis or not, or if you want to save for what's coming up next, which let's talk about that right now. So who's coming up after Nemesis, in case you want to skip and save for her? From what I've gathered from players that have played on CN, it's most likely going to be one of 3 of Claudia, Cobalt 2B, or Frigg. And all 3 of them respectively are going to be damage dealers of physical, flame, and frost, in that order. So go ahead and look up them individually and see if their kits, their looks appeal to you more than Nemesis. Now there's one important thing I want to mention here, guys. I mentioned at the start of the video that one of Nemesis' unique strengths, or biggest strengths, is her Volt Resonance right here. Unfortunately, those 3 elements, right, physical, ice, and fire, flame, from Claudia, Cobalt, and Frigg, none of those 3 units have those respective resonance. You're gonna have to wait longer for the next upcoming units to get that, you know, flame, physical, or ice resonance. Those 3 units don't have them, but go ahead and look them up. They might be your cup of tea more than Nemesis, in case you skip out on Nemesis, don't want to summon just yet, or maybe you just don't like Nemesis looks, aesthetics, weapons, whatever it might be. Go ahead and look up those 3. It's most likely going to be one of them, and I think most players are betting on Claudia up next, who also looks really, really good, guys. She only comes second to me, behind Nemesis. If I didn't get her, I definitely would be going for Claudia as a physical damage dealer. I'd make like a Shiro comp with her, maybe with Tsubasa, something like that. But anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully this helped you decide either for Nemesis or not. Let me know in the comments if you like her, if you do plan to pull for her, how many dupes you've gotten, whatever that might be. I'm going to be making more Tower Fantasy content. Make sure you stop by the live streams, all info below. And thank you guys. That's all I can say. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.